What up, Print Hustlers? It's Steven from Campus Inc. Bruce is out today. We are recording another episode with our good friend, Kevin Baumgart from Sales Inc. We are going to go through what it would take to do $1 million in a year if we were starting from scratch. Kevin and I were discussing what we want to talk about the podcast. And I was like, why don't we just openly brainstorm together as if he was a sales coach? I was trying to run my shop. I know a little bit, and we're going to run through the whole thing. So take a listen and enjoy. But first, let's hear from our sponsors. Our sponsors are incredible. They help us out every single week to put this podcast on. So first and foremost, we have Graphic Source. If you need a solution to improve efficiency and reduce costs in your art department, hit up Graphic Source. They offer industry-leading outsource options for your shop by truly becoming a part of your team. They plug and play with Printavo and other shop management software. And when it comes to SEPs, mockups, creative art, order management, embroidery, digitizing, they have over 40 years in the game. They really know and understand shop needs. They have a proven track record of success. They run our art department. They handle all of our SEPs. They live in our Printavo. Hit up Graphic Source. You can get 50% off your first vector, SEP, or embroidery order. They will absolutely be at Long Beach. Easy Way is launching a new giveaway to give back to their amazing customers. Each month, they're giving away a $250 prize, and it's super easy to enter. You can go to easyway.com/giveaway. Make reclaiming screens a whole lot easier with Easyway systems and chemicals. Enter their giveaway. Go check them out at Long Beach. We use Easyway products every single day. If you don't know, you know now. Have you heard of Multicraft_Daddy? If you need ink supplies or a daddy, Multicraft screen printing and digital supplies for over 50 years has been providing you with top brands at competitive prices. If you mention the Printavo podcast, you'll receive an extra 10% off your order. Dave gives away a free case of PMI tape for every episode. All you have to do is go to his Instagram, multicraft_daddy, follow, look at all of his corny videos, and shoot him a note, and he'll enter you in for a drawing. This is for new customers only, but give Dave a follow. If you're ready to take your custom apparel to the next level, you should definitely check out Stalls. Stalls is the leader in heat printing solutions. Whether you're a small business just starting out or an established brand that's scaling up, Stalls makes the hustle easy. They're here so you can simply heat, press, and profit. I've been developing a new patch line for headwear, and I've been using Stalls. I've been specifically using some of their new PVC, like the silicone patches that have been incredible. Whether you're, looking to do DTF, patches, order twill, you name it, hit up Stalls. You can save 20% on your next DTF transfer order using the code Hustler20. They will absolutely be at Long Beach. We appreciate you, Stalls. All right, let's hop on into the episode.
If you and I were sitting down today and we were going to partner and we were going to start a print shop and our only goal was to get to $1 million in revenue as soon as possible, what playbook would we run? What strategies would we focus on? How would we execute that flow with you knowing what you know, being inside of the print shop space, and me knowing what I know about sales and business development and growth?
You know a little bit about printing now. What year is this in the printing industry for you?
This is 9. So, so I know the industry. I get it. I've been in shops plenty of times, but I haven't spent time. I haven't been in a shop for a week and just lived the stress and the order process. And I get it. I know it. I understand it, but I haven't lived in it. So that's why I think if I'm going to just build this plan of how do I grow and scale my shop to $1 million in revenue, I'd have to have your expertise of being in there and living in it.
Okay, Print Hustlers. So Bruce is out today. So you got Kevin and Steven. Kevin, you're just like the third stooge that, we can always have a good time with you. I guess you can fight for it with Justin Lawrence, but you don't take your shirt off. Congratulations on 9 years in the printing industry. I didn't know that. That's first Print Hustlers was 2017. Yeah. So we're going to do this where we just riff on if we were starting a print shop from scratch and we had to get to $1 million, knowing what I know, knowing what you know, how would we pull this off? So this would be day one meeting. We're starting our company in 30 days.
I would think about I don't know, maybe we can break this into people, process, tech, or whatever. But what would you do from a people perspective? Also limited budget to scale it. Let's say it's just you for now.
So would you agree that you are your best salesman when you're first starting out?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Almost every owner of every business is their best salesperson because they have to. And if it's owner or founder led sales to start with, that's your livelihood. That's your lifeblood. You have to be that person.
So the first thing I would do is I would not try to print any shirts. I would make sure that I contract out everything to start. Because if you are your best salesman and that is the only thing that you can, that you will have to do best, that you can't hand off everything else that you can do. So like, don't go buy equipment, maybe grab a heat press if you want, whatever, but don't get into actually touching shirts. I would say the first decision is to like be super, super clear and intentional on that. Does that feel good?
Yeah, for sure. It was like we were talking to that one shop in fabric that wanted to try to drive to $1 million and wanted to do it without 0 pieces of equipment, totally wholesale everything.
I'm jealous. I was like, why did I get into this? When you talk to those shops, like, yeah, we just contract, and I'm like, maybe I shouldn't have bought that. Okay, so you are your best salesperson. So then let's actually talk about how do you get to $1 million in a year? What does that look like? So yeah, do we want to talk there? Or do you want to start with like tech?
Let's do tech quick. So do you think shop management and process management, ERP is important to start with right away?
Yes. So I think there's 2 differences though that people get really, really confused. There's shop management, production management, quoting, and there's CRM, customer relationship management. I think right out of the gates, before you get started, day one, you should have both in place. Agree, disagree, or should you just start with Google Sheets?
Yeah, like I couldn't agree more. I mean, I'm a little biased on the sales end. Like CRMs are so critical. The funny thing is early stage businesses, unless the owner came from another business where they utilize the CRM, I find almost no smaller shops, sub 500K or even sub $1 million, very few of them have a CRM that they use effectively. And I couldn't agree more that it's such an important and critical part of the sales process. I mean, I built one. Like it's an important part, but you're right. It's not just managing the sales process. There should be that back-end shop management software to have that handoff after we close a deal. Now we're working in the shop management software to manage production in the back end of the business.
Yeah. So the investment I would make there is what, like, okay, so you built Sales Inc. CRM, shameless plug. What is it to get started? $100? I don't even, 150 a month. Okay. You get that, you get your Printavo set up, or Inksoft, Order My Gear, or whatever suite of softwares you think, or Trello, whatever. But you're probably going to say, I'm going to spend $300 or $400 a month on tech to start. Super important that you have a really simple website like a Wix, a Squarespace or something. Make sure you have your email set up with a domain name so you don't look like a clown. If you're a print shop still using a Gmail, get a freaking domain name. Okay, so you have your tech in place. Now what?
I would probably think about just the process of customer acquisition, like target market focus, or like where am I targeting? What's my niche? Who am I going to go after? Why don't we jam on this for a little bit? Let's talk about, and I think where we're going to go on this is, how do we not do $500 orders? And how do we scale this thing? How do we focus on AOV and really focus on driving this business? So let's talk about some industries, and then we can talk about what happens after that. If you had to pick maybe your top 2 or 3 industries that you would want to go after, knowing what you know about the business today, that maybe if we're levering on higher AOV, who would you focus on?
The easiest place to sell to is your network. That's probably how you got started, your kid's baseball team or something like that. So they have to be in your sphere of influence, because you're not going to go print for Meta right out of the gates. Or maybe you are. Probably not. I don't know. But you probably are working in your network. But I think you should develop a niche pretty quickly. And I think you need to develop a niche and qualify those type of customers very early on. If you're going to get started with sports teams, those are the lowest AOV, the hardest to produce, the most picky, the quick, the parents are going to switch every year, the PTOs and stuff like that. I would personally pick local corporate companies and local businesses that are like medium to large. So a company that does over $1 million a year. I would not go to the taco stand. I would go to the, something a little bit bigger? Maybe the body shops, the construction companies.
I agree. I couldn't agree more. Right away, I thought about construction and trades based businesses. It's really easy printing. It's not challenging printing, but it's also it's highly worn out. They need to replace orders a lot. It's cruise workwear, it's safety apparel, et cetera. They're usually less price conscious. They order often. I think construction trades would be a great industry. I agree. Don't go to the taco shop, but I do think hospitality, if it's multi-location based, the coffee chain that has 6 locations in your city, the gym, the fitness studios, the breweries, if they have multiple locations, bit larger restaurant groups, because there's multiple opportunities. It's uniforms, employee workwear, but it's also retail merch. The retail merch side of it usually commands a much higher dollar value, and they care about quality. They care less about cost because they're going to resell it at a retail price.
Yeah, the bar industry is great too, because then they do promos and giveaways, and the beer companies come in and yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so I have a question. Would it be better to go narrow and deep and be like, I'm just going to focus on gyms and be really good at gyms and try to do as many gyms across the nation as possible? Or would it be better to try to get all of those different companies we talked about in your local community? What would you do?
Meaning local or like larger?
Yeah, is it better to go wide, to niche down in one specialty? For instance, I think there's a shop that really focuses on fire stations, and they got really good at that, and that's what they do. And now they do every fire station in all these fire stations around the country. Yeah, is it better to find a niche, I guess, when you're first starting out, or to go local and wide?
Yeah, you got to find it, right? So the shop that you're talking about, I'm sure didn't all of a sudden sell a firehouse and that's all they did. I'm sure they started realizing, wow, we can capitalize on this. And what they did was they went to where those people are. They went to the trade shows, they went to the conventions, they, advertised in the publications. That takes a little bit of time. So if you're starting out and you're trying to grow the business, my recommendation would be figure out what that niche is. Where are your most profitable jobs coming from? Where do you want more work from? What jobs are easy? What jobs are less competitive? Where are the customers less price focused and price centric? I would look at, just analyze the jobs that you start running and figure out where you can then double down on your niche. But I don't think you can do it right away. You mentioned mid to large size businesses and maybe not being able to go after enterprise right away. I don't know if I agree with that fully. Here's why. Even if you can act as if, even if you're a small shop, you're just starting out, they don't know. If you've got a good website and you can communicate really well, the bar in our industry, I think, is set really low. So if you're a professional and you can jump on a Zoom call with them or a Google Meet call with them, and you talk through and run a good discovery, run a good needs analysis, and you present solutions in a really good way, they're not going to know you from a $20 million shop. How are they going to know the difference?
To get into them is probably a little harder to crack. You're going to get a lot. It's probably, or is it just as easy?
What I like about those larger enterprise businesses is there is so many points of contact that usually can order merch or swag. It's sales, it's marketing, it's HR, it's their admin operations team. I was just thinking about back at a startup that I was at, we were 100 employees and there was 4 or 5 people that had different vendors. I was using you, but all the marketing department was using someone else. Our chief of staff was using someone else. There's all these people within those businesses. All I got to get is one and do a good job for them. And we know how it is. The reorders come. So I wouldn't think about chasing the brewery down the street. I would think about chasing a brand that has a marketing budget.
It's interesting. Jeremy Parker from swag.com that sold to Custom Ink, when he first started out, he printed a bunch of samples and took it to Google's headquarters and WeWork's headquarters and just went in a conference room. And people started coming in. And that was how we got it. We just went for it. I mean, but I do think it's probably easier. It's probably easier to work in your network. It's harder to go after enterprise, but you should be thinking about enterprise immediately. And I mean, enterprise, bigger companies, because that is stable work, I think.
Agree. And it could be larger nonprofits. It could be trade schools. It could be the local, pest pest remediation company that has a bunch of locations in all the different geographies. Like, it doesn't have to be Google, and it doesn't have to be huge corporate businesses, but we can still find these large size businesses that have a lot of needs. And the beautiful part is they have internal swag, they have marketing and events, they have new hire onboarding kits, they have client gifting during the holidays. There's so many uses for merch within their business. Why not hit it? And to your point too, Stephen, it takes some time. It's not like you're going to land those big accounts right away, but I would start right away. I wouldn't wait to just hit my network and then start there.
Okay. Let's talk about like what we're going to sell, and are we prepared to sell all of that stuff? So, if we get an opportunity, how do we present the services and the things that should you set up a promo products account and go at that right away? Should you just do embroidery, just do headwear? What do you think?
I don't know. What are your thoughts? Is that needed right away?
The reason I say this, if I was starting over, I would go to an ASI conference first and learn that first because promo always becomes a last priority, but the best money makers. And so I would make sure you have a way and a solution to do everything. But at the same time, like the guys at Lid Launch or Cersei Designs, like they just do hats and they crush it. And they're just hats. That's all they do. So I'm kind of torn upon that.
I like having an array of products, but I also, and I want to be educated in our industry and be able to provide good advice and options if people are asking for it. But you know how our customers are in the space. Usually they've already ordered what they've ordered and they're looking for quotes. So I think in that instance, we just have to be better at discovery and the questions that we ask, and how when they say, hey, I need shirts for this event, we're not just, all right, size, quantity, color, logo placement. What do you need? And here's a quote. We're taking a step back. We're trying to understand what their goal of the project is, what's most important to them, what they're trying to accomplish. If they had to stack rank speed, turnaround, quality, or cost, what would be most important to you and why? I don't know. Just if we can do a good discovery, you can learn so much more. And I would rather lever on what do they need versus what do I have in my toolbox to show them of all these different options and products that we have.
I see what you're saying there. Okay, so let's talk about like we have a plan. We kind of know where we're going. We're going to, we have a plan. It's going to be me. We know where we're going. How do you put together how would you do an outbound strategy from scratch? And let's use Champaign-Urbana, right? It's a town of a couple 100,000 people, right? Good little micro economy. Where do you start? What would be the first step of the process to actually put together a sales strategy here?
Yeah, I like it. Maybe one other tool that we didn't talk about that would be needed is like lead generation, lead sourcing, contact creation. And there's a number of these tools out there: Uplead, Seamless, Hunter, Apollo. There's a ton of lead tools out there, and data's pretty cheap. It's like 50 to 60 cents a lead. And you can plug in Champaign-Urbana. I'm looking for construction trades businesses above 50 employees or above 20 million in revenue. And I want to get the contact information for the owners and maybe procurement or purchasing or sourcing and maybe HR. And now I download this lead list, I buy that data, and I put those leads into my CRM. And now I'm running outbound campaigns. That would be the first step that I would do, is collect leads.
Or you have to create them yourself.
Or you have to create them yourself, which I wouldn't recommend just because the data is there and it's so cheap. It's 50 to 60 cents a lead. How long does it take you to go to a website, figure out who the contacts are, guess their email, go back? It's too hard. It takes too much time.
But I think what you're saying, Kevin, is before you even go outbound, you need to create a prospect list and a leads list. And essentially, if we're going to do $1 million this year, and your AOV, say you need to put 1,000 orders through your system, and those are a lot of first-time customers. I mean, let's just take the first month. If I wanted to do 20 or 30 orders, I might need a list of 500 people. I don't know. What's the rate? Like, how big of a prospect list do you think you need?
A lot. You need you need hundreds, if not thousands of leads that you're cycling through this outbound flow. But I also want to think about creative outreach. Like, we know that outbound is hard, and we're so inundated. Our inboxes are full. We get texts nonstop. We get calls nonstop. Like, it's hard to cut through the noise. It works. You should do it. But I think we also got to get creative in like you should join your business networking group in your community, your BNI. You should join the Chamber of Commerce in Champaign. You should get out in the market, start knocking on doors, start talking to people, start giving away. We have swag, like we have free stuff that we can give to people. Like that's great. I know we've talked about this a couple times on the pod, but I would also really, really think about what is my kitting and boxing strategy.
I'm gonna grab that. Keep going. Yes, let's talk about that.
Oh, cool. Okay, so what is my kitting and boxing strategy? And this is not like how do I sell kitting and boxing jobs, but it's how can I really put good curated kits and boxes together for my prospects. So now it's not just they get an email and they get a call from you and they get a LinkedIn message, but now they get this box. It's such a good way to open up a door, but it's a better way to increase AOV on the orders that they're placing, but also drive more products versus just, can we get shirts for this event?
Did you get your holiday box from Campus Inc? I may have sent you a different one.
You sent me these at work cards.
Oh no, you didn't get the good box. Sorry, you've been downgraded.
I didn't get the good box. Great.
So, I think if you could, I would try to make a list of 100 customers in your town that you think you have a connection to or know, or like it's in your sphere of influence, right? Meaning like you could stop in, and I would probably invest $50 to $100 per box. So let's just call it, I don't know, $10,000. And curate really nice boxes of products. So this year, our VIPs got Campus Inc. JBLs. They got my favorite Campus Inc. pen. They got an NIL Store basketball hoop that goes on the back of their wall. They got a calendar for the new year. And in the box, we basically said, here are all the things you didn't know we made. And so, sorry, I'll send you your box. Imagine if you did that and you put a hat and you put a bunch of just nice things together, not just like a t-shirt, but like a nice water bottle and like a nice thing. And you spent a little bit of money and you went and hand delivered that to 100 different places, even 50. I think the return on investment there would be like insane. I don't know.
1,000%. Couldn't agree more. And I've never talked to a shop that have invested in like a kitting and boxing strategy that hadn't seen a strong return behind it. But I think there's some strategy to this. I love the approach that you took and I love how curated these are. If I'm a shop that is getting off the ground and trying to grow my name though, I'm doing whatever I can to put whoever I'm dropping this box off for's logo on the merch. It's not Kevin's Print Shop's logo, it's their logo. So if you've got a heat press and you can print on demand some stuff, great. That JBL speaker, you know how hard it is to print on hard goods and promo. Maybe that's what we put our shop logo on, but any apparel, anything that we can easily one-off print on, yes. Here's the approach that I take. I reach out to them in advance and say, hey, I pulled your logo offline. I wanted to put a no strings attached curated box together with your logo on some of the apparel that we print for similar clients in Champaign. Are you okay with me printing that? And if I do, would you mind if I stole 2 minutes of your time on Tuesday? I'm going to drop it off and hand deliver. I want to see your expression when you open up the box. So now it's not just a cold drop. It's you've already got permission and you essentially have a meeting with that person to look at it. So
would you ever, if it was a small town, my business partner does this all the time. He's in the welding industry and he goes and calls on all these customers, super old school. He will just print off a random logo and put it on a quarter zip and he just like has it in his car. Would you just grab their logo? Would you go as far as grab their logo from their website, make it and surprise them?
Totally. You could do that too, but I would rather, especially if I want to get to the owner of that business, I don't want to just luck of the draw, show up and hope that they'll see me. I want to say, hey, I'm going to do this for you. Would you be willing to take a look at it? And also, you don't need to get permission to throw people's logo on. You should. If someone showed up at my house with a bunch of Sales Inc. merch, I'd be like, thanks. I'm not going to be like, where'd you get my logo? Like that's not the approach most people are going to have. So yeah, it's just super impactful. I like that calling in advance, telling them that you're going to be there. Can I steal just 2 minutes of your time while I'm in your office? You threw $10,000 out there, and I'm sure a lot of people like threw up in their mouth like, oh man, I can't spend 10 grand on kitting in boxes. it's like you got to spend money to make money. They're going to see ROI on that. Like number one, you're going to sell stuff that's in the box. Steven, you had a good approach of, hey, here's some things that you probably didn't know that we sold. That's one. But two is now they have this curated box with Campus Inc.'s logo on it. I've had a lot of shops that started to sell kitting and boxing solutions for their clients for their holiday gifts and for their client, their client gifts or new hire onboarding kits, et cetera, because of that. So it's an investment that I think pays off a ton.
Doesn't have to be $10,000. Maybe I took that back. Oh, you could buy nice water bottles on stage for $4 or $5 a piece. You can get a nice hat. I think don't just give them a t-shirt, try to do something a little bit elevated. Maybe it's just like a quarter zip. But I do think, to your point, if you're just starting out, no one cares about your logo that you've cheaply made on Canva or ChatGPT. If you invest the time to put their logos on their products, they're just going to be like, whoa, no one's done this for me before, And to your point, we sent these all out and immediately was like, hey, can you guys do this for us? We need this. And, now you're in there. I think where we probably differ, and this is okay, Kevin, is because I'm an owner operator and I'm flying by the seat of my pants, I'm not as process oriented about my sales thing. Like ask me for 2 minutes and send a follow-up. What's the balance between selling and shooting from the hip versus like running a sales process?
Yeah. If you're running a shop, you're getting pulled in a bunch of different directions. I love this mentality of not having equipment and production staff and all that to deal with, like a lot easier. Then you're a sales organization. That's it. That's all you do is sell. I think there can be a balance. If your sole goal is to try to grow the business, I would, as the owner, take a step back and be really honest with yourself and try to analyze how much time are you spending in your day on growth and on sales and on developing the business. It should be the vast majority of your day. And easy to say for me when I'm not manufacturing goods and I have a production staff and I'm doing marketing and finance and HR and operations. I'm doing everything as the owner. If you can't spend time on growth and on sales, you got to hire someone to do it.
You need to, if you are the first employee, there needs to be you need to either have an advisor, a coach, or someone to hold you accountable. Because to do it alone is super, super hard. And so I would say get an advisor first. That can be okay, how many messages did we send out this week? Who did we follow up with? Right. But then you have to carve out it's like going to I feel like if you're going to run a sales process, it's like going to the gym. There's never a good time for it, but you have to do it and you have to do it consistently. I know when I was raising money, you guys are like, did you send out your messages? Did you hit your numbers? I had a whiteboard on there and you guys were holding me accountable to it. One more meeting. But doing it alone is super, super hard. If you were going to start, and we're kind of still in the infancy here, we've started getting orders, right? What would your first hire then be?
If I'm still trying to hit $1 million and we're scratching and we got to be scrappy and can't invest a ton, I'm probably not going to hire a experienced seller. I would probably start with a business development rep or a sales development rep, just like a cold caller.
Would you hire a VA or anything? Would you go that route, or is that not good too early? Do you worry about that, hiring a VA too early? Someone that's not English speaking or whatever?
I think that's super important to find someone that has a good command of the English language, one, and his accent would tie to people that they're calling in Champaign, him or her. Right. Yeah. Whoever it is. I want to make sure that I'd feel comfortable having them call our best customers. The virtual assistant is okay. That's why I like South Africa, the English accent versus a Latin American or Filipino or Indian accent. It's a little bit more challenging. There's also now AI that can mask accents and can tie to. It's wild. 11 Labs had something on the other day. It's wild how good it is.
Comcast called me and I was like, is this AI? And they're like, no, it's just an accent changer. And I'm like, holy cow.
Wow. That's incredible. So that's there. So I would look at maybe a VA or look at a green sales rep, just out of school. You can also look at appointment setting services. I worked with a shop out of Arizona that used just a cold calling company, and they sent cold email or cold called on behalf of the client and set up meetings for them, and they pay per meeting. So it's kind of like pay per performance. So you don't have to just hire a salesperson. There's a couple different ways to look at this.
What might be smart from a if you're an owner operator, is to hire VAs to run your back office. They can process orders for you. They can do your purchasing, outsource your art department, right? Like you can hire a VA to help you with like marketing, but you probably want someone stateside or, being the face of it. Because if someone's getting a random call from a person in the Philippines, like I don't know how strong that's going to be out of the gate, just being like, you're the face of the organization. And so let's just say, we do all this stuff. First month we do 20 grand. We get 20 orders. Did I skip anything?
Why is our AOV $1,000?
Because that's what I've made up.
I don't want my AOV to be $1,000. I want my AOV to be 5,000 or 10,000, which will focus me on targeting higher value clients. It's not I want to get this small event shirt order or this small business order. I want to go up.
When you're first starting out, though, you sort of say yes to it.
So I'm saying yes to orders for sure if things are coming inbound. But when I'm going outbound and when I'm targeting and I'm doing kitting and boxing or I'm asking for referrals, I'm focused on those larger businesses. Let's
talk about, so a sales process never ends. You always have to be doing outreach and getting net new clients. Like that is, in a typical sales organization, that is a machine that has to run nonstop. But what happens when you start getting clients? Where is the balance between getting them to order more versus going and getting new?
Yeah, I mean that shouldn't stop. Like if we're going outbound and trying to acquire customers and they place an order with us, the same amount of like consistency and focus and outreach that we had when we were trying to court them should happen when they are a customer, while we're supporting them, following up and checking in on orders, letting them know about other services that companies like them are ordering, asking them about reorders or other projects that they're working on. It's this question, I think, really encompasses this. It's what other printing services are you utilizing today outside of the work that I've done for you? And you do all of our printing. Great. Well, what is your logo on? Oh, well, we do business cards and we do laser engraving and like, oh, I didn't know you guys, we do that as well, right? Like just asking that question. If I have done some work for you, what other printing services are you all utilizing today that I haven't done? We rely in our industry so heavily on email usually for this too. This guy, like pick up the phone, go there in person, drop off a shirt, drop off donuts, say hi. Pick up the phone, ask them, hey, I was looking at your file and I noticed.
And Kevin, I think I jumped to customer success and reorders. And this is something you call us out for and you've helped us out a lot with, is actually running a nice quoting process. You call it like quote and hope. Like so many shops will just send a quote, no follow-up, no discovery call. Can you spend like 1 minute on if and when you get a lead that is interested, what do you do then what would you do to close them? What would Kevin's process be to close them? So
yeah, three steps. So I'm setting a discovery call. So I'm if they're local and it's easy, I'm going there in person. I would much rather, right? If I'm in Champaign and I'm working on Champaign-based businesses, I'm great. I can be in your office tomorrow at 9 a.m. Does that work for you? Like I'm probably going to schedule in person. Second best is, Zoom, Google Meet. I'm running a discovery. Again, I'm trying to understand what they ordered today, any current needs that they have, what they care about, what's important to them, not just technical discovery around sizes and quantity and logo placement. It's what do you care about and what do you look for in a print partner? And then after, if there is an opportunity to quote, that would be the second step of what I call solution recommendation. I'm not quoting, I'm recommending a solution to a problem, a challenge, an issue, a need that they have. And what you mentioned with quote and hope, it's like we often just send it over via email. Like, here's your quote. Let us know what you think. And then we're surprised when we get ghosted. I want to get on a call with them again or stop by and review what we put together and why we put it together. So I just want to put a little bit more emphasis on, hey, you told us these things were important. You cared about this, this, and this is what you're trying to accomplish. Here's what we put together, and here's how that aligns to what you're looking for. That level of approach and focus usually doesn't happen because we just ship quotes over. Ship over the mock-up, get it approved, and ship over the invoice, and hopefully they pay. Don't get me wrong though. For current customers, that's all good. If they reorder from you every month and you're 100% sure you're going to get the business, ship over the Printavo mock-up approval and the invoice and be done with it. But if it's the first time you're reaching out to them or the first time they reached out to you, you got to run that discovery and then solution recommendation process.
Something that you've done with our team is like, don't just, I don't know if you said like, is the customer just shopping and price hunting, or are you actually turning them into a partner? And so like we've made this sheet. If anyone wants to email me, Steven@campus.inc, I can send it to you. It's called like an ICI, initial call checklist, like an initial call list. And it's like, who have they worked with before? What did they like about that? What did they not like about that? What are your logos going on? What's your budget? Do you have an event coming up? What's important to you? Right? Like what are the things that I need to do to win your business? We asked this question. It's like a pre-close question of, if everything looks good and the price is good, is there any reason why we wouldn't be able to work together? And a lot of times when my sales team comes to me and they ask me a question, I'm like, well, did you ask about this? Did you ask about this? Did you ask about this? And they're like, no. They'll just like give an excuse, right? And so I think if you want to run a successful company and do $1 million, really, really learning the sales process and the discovery call is important. And I think, Kevin, you come from a traditional sales world where this was drilled into you, like Glenn Ross style, boiler room style. And so if you don't know this, there is an art to it. Literally scripts, role plays, exactly what to say, exactly how to frame it, exactly how to do the next step. It is not, there is a science to that process.
Absolutely. And I've been running discovery calls. When a shop reaches out to me and said, hey, I want to learn about Sales Inc., I still have a discovery call template that I have up on my screen. I've been doing these discovery calls for a long time. I still want to go through and make sure that I've knocked off the major questions that I want to ask. It is really important to have that. I want to touch on one more thing from like current customers versus how do you spend that time. We as an industry don't spend enough time, I don't think, on referrals and focusing on it. We get a lot, and we get a lot of inbound, and we get a lot of word of mouth, but it's almost like by chance. And all of a sudden, like we get that referral and it's great. If I'm trying to hit $1 million, you better believe I've got a process set up for asking for referrals, getting those referrals, and then closing that referral business that will benefit me and will benefit the person giving the referral and will benefit the person that was referred. So if I get a first order, I've got now a contact. My first order comes in, I'm going back to that person and I'm making a really specific ask. Hey, Steven, you own Jim's Landscaping in Champaign. What other landscaping or trades partners do you network with in the Champaign area? I'm not asking for a referral. I'm asking who else does he network or work with? What other owners of trades businesses? And whatever, you're going to answer that question. The majority of our growth is based on our clients referring us business that we've done a good job for. Would you be willing to just give me contact information for one or two of those? And I'll make it really easy for you. I'll send you over an email. All you have to do is copy and paste that email and put me and that person in the to line, and I'll run with it. And if you do that, I'll give you 10% off your next order. I'll give you 12 free hats, or I'll do something for you and I'll also do something for them. Like some sort of structured referral process that you just execute and run for every single time you get an order.
Or you don't get an order, right? Like, oh, I know you're not going to be able to work with us. Do you know anyone else that might need shirts? Insurance people do this. Northwestern Mutual all day. Like, yeah, I know you don't need life insurance, but do you have 3 friends? I'll send you a blurb. Can you forward it? There's Paul Graham, who's like big in the like Peter Thiel, Paul Graham. I was reading a bunch of his blogs when I was figuring out how we were going to raise money. And he says, if you can't get a warm introduction, VC will not talk to you because you don't know how to sell. And he's like, do not cold outreach to some of these people. Try to get an introduction because like that's the first step of the sales, And so like if you get a referral or a network, those leads are 1,000 times hotter than cold. Like, yeah, my uncle needs stuff. And then you call that person and like, hey, Jim sent me. Oh yeah, we need this. Come by next week. So I think we don't put enough emphasis on referrals and networks, but you have to ask for it because it's the easiest type of sale to make for sure. What else?
We didn't talk a ton about like what does that outbound process look like after we capture the lead and we get the contact information. It can get pretty deep, and I don't want to go directly down into that, but I do want to highlight, if we focus on a niche, we can then, like I gave that example of construction companies in Champaign. I can now create all of my language to go out after those construction company owners, and I can use language that ties to them. So that's not saying, hey, we're new in the market, or we provide shirts and hats and hoodies. I'm not talking about me at all. I'm talking about them. So the communication and language that I'm using is specifically saying, hey, I'm working with other construction companies in the Champaign area. And what I'm finding is that seamlessness of ordering workwear and crews uniforms is challenging. And they want much more durable, long lasting shirts and hats and safety gear for their crews. We're helping a lot of construction companies in the area. Can we have a call to see how we might be able to help you as well? Like that sort of language is what we find hit for outreach.
You can't just shoot from the hip and say, hey, you need shirts. I'm starting a new business. Do you want to put orders with me? It's like, no. You have to discover and figure out and tailor and actually kind of see what objections you're going to work through. There's definitely an art to wordsmithing, all of that stuff, but you can script a lot of it. And then you can change a couple parts every time. So then how often, say you have this cold list, how often should you be calling on them? How much is too much?
Do usually like a 10 to 12 touch campaign, multi-channel, meaning call, email, social media, or LinkedIn messaging. I'm hitting them 10, 12 times over a 3 to 4 week period. And the beautiful part is now a lot of the CRMs can help you automate this stuff. So you don't have to send any of those emails. They automatically go out on the days you assign. You do still have to pick up the phone. That manual step of making that call still has to happen. And that's the tough part. But if you sit down, like you can crank out 40, 50 phone calls in a 2-hour period pretty easily. You just got to do it. It's hard. It's like Kevin Oakley from Stoked on Printing. His mantra was 100 actions a day. I promise you'll have too much work. So what his thought was, if you can do 100 activities, 100 calls, emails, messages every single day, that compounds and you will have too much work. It sounds easy, but sit down and try to make 100 phone calls.
Or 100 DMs or 100 LinkedIn's.
Exactly. But you got to do it. If you want to grow, you got to do it.
Kevin, you touched on a good point. You might have to, I think we reach out once and we don't get a response, so we stop. We reach out twice. Yeah, we didn't hear back from them. You might have to have 10 touch points before you even get a response or an interest. Is that kind of the benchmark that you set?
Yeah, you're going to get lucky and stars are going to align and somebody's going to have a need. But there's plenty of leads that I've ran 4 campaigns through and they still haven't, enough 40 plus touches and they still haven't responded. Yeah, if the lead list is good, I'm going to recycle them and keep nurturing those leads. If the lead list is a flop, I'm probably going to shelf it for a while.
So you have to consistently be okay with ghosting, rejection. Half that time you're just nurturing, and you're just warming them up. And eventually, when they're like, "Oh, who's that Kevin that's been in my inbox for the last 2 months?" I'll respond.
Exactly.
I do that.
You're trying to raise awareness. It's not just trying to sell shirts right out of the gate. It's trying to uncover opportunities and trying to raise awareness. So when there is an opportunity, they reach out. But it's like, I'm going back to this VA thing. It's like a good VA can do more prospecting in 1 week than an owner of a shop could do an entire quarter. It's like, if you don't have the time to do it, you got to get someone in that can do that work.
So let's just say and we've only got 4 or 5 minutes left here. So we're gonna put a bow on this. Maybe there's a part 2, but we've started to get sales. We might have a couple employees working for us. How much of your time is spent on new business versus old business?
I think I'm always leaning on current customers first. And every time I ask a shop, do you feel like you've communicated with and are on top of your current customers as much as you should be? The answer is always no. So like I would, if we're not doing cold outreach, I would start with current customer outreach and making sure that we're always in front of them. They always know what's going on. We're communicating offers and specials. It's like, get in front of them and really push it. And when you feel like you've honed that in, start doing cold outbound. Just because that current customer warm outreach it's easier and it's going to result in deals.
I went to a shop once, and on their wall, they printed out their top 20 customers, and it was on every door, so that everyone in their business knew who the top people were here that we need to be always thinking about, because others aren't thinking about you. They don't give a crap about you. But if you set a touch point like, okay, they ordered in January, I'm going to follow up once a month and just check in. That customer will appreciate it. And if they don't order until next year, great, fine. But I think it is harder to go get a new customer than it is to just get a customer to reorder.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And maybe if the model is how do we get to $1 million as fast as possible in this industry, it probably isn't like build a huge production environment and hire a bunch of people. Maybe we got to be okay with the broker model and contracting out and having some really solid contract partners and giving up some margin to lessen the complexity of the business. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Year 2 is like, okay, once I get consistent business and I know I can afford this, I will start to think about production. Maybe we don't think about that till Q4 of our first year or until we get through 1 year. We're not even going to think about it. So yeah, I think that's a mistake. And I don't think anyone's fault. We just we're like, okay, we want to print. Let's go do it. So any final words or advice, Kevin, of what shops might be able to do this year to grow their business and things?
Now is such an interesting time. It's usually a little bit of downtime. It's a little bit slow. We're coming off of a new year. There's a lot of planning and goal setting and focus. And it's not crazy and chaotic and the press is spinning nonstop. Like it's usually a good time to focus on this area. When I see shops winning in this area and really growing, it's because, like anything, they focus on it. There's time and effort and investment, and they're really thinking about, all right, I need to focus and grow sales. Just like if you put time and effort into improving your production environment, you did that. You put time, effort, energy into it. Same thing needs to happen with sales. Even if you're not good at it, you don't have past experience in selling, even if it's not your strong suit, you still got to force yourself into owning it and understanding it, and knowing it, or hiring someone to help you get to that next level. Invest in it. Put time, effort, and money into it.
Sweet. So I think this will air right before we're in Long Beach, but we will be in Long Beach together. We will be manning a couple of different booths. There will be the Sales Inc. booth where you can look at the new Sales Inc. CRM. Talk to Kevin about what he's doing. We'll be at the Fabric booth as well, which happens to be right next to each other, talking a lot about different things. But Kevin, you've been a fractional VP of sales essentially for Campus Inc. for 8 years. I don't know, 7 years, 9 years. But you've obviously helped a ton of people in the industry and continue to do so. What's the easiest way to reach out to you?
Yeah, just Kevin at sales.ink, sales.inc.
I love that website. Great domain.
Steven bought that domain for me probably 7 years ago. He's like, "Hey, you going to start this business or what?" Yeah, and we're in the Rock Atrium, right between the two expo halls. So yeah, come say hi. You'll see us right on the walkway.
All right, that's a wrap. Thanks so much, Print Hustlers. We'll see you next time.
Thanks so much for listening. Hopefully that was informative. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to hit the bell for notifications if you enjoyed this video. If you enjoy all the stuff we're putting out, it's really helpful. We love to just be able to see it. That means that we're doing a good job. To subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and hit the like button. And I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.